Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 100 of the Unleash and Thrive podcast. I have three awesome people in the house, my fellow podcasters. I'm so excited. I can't even contain myself. I have the coach that started us all off on this journey. Coach Tonbra's in the house. We have Noble IJ. I have Ifeoma Omoniyi. And we're going to have Amachree join us soon. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful. And guess what? I decided I'm not going to do this alone. This episode, I'm bringing people that have been doing, this with me, that are fellow podcasters. Let's talk about what podcasting is. Let's look at our favorite moments. Let's look at the lessons we've learned. And guess what, people? You're in for a treat. So if you have a friend that you need to listen to this, please go grab them now. I need them to come join you on this podcast. Let's get right into it. So we're going to I'm not going to read bios. I'm just going to get us to introduce ourselves informally. I think that today is going to be great. So we're going to start from Coach Tonbra. Let's get you to introduce yourself.
Joy. First things first, I want to say well done on your centenary episode. It is amazing. 100 is an amazing feat. I just want to say thank you for your consistency, for your drive, for your commitment to your people. Heaven will reward you for everything that you've done. I just want you to know that it's a seed that you've sown and you reap a harvest in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And then second, thank you for having me on your podcast. I believe this is the second time I'm coming on your show.
Yeah.
And always such a joy to be here with you. I love your vibe. I love your energy. I love everything. It's so infectious, your laughter. So it's great to be here again. And I look forward to this insightful conversation that I know we're going to have. And then thirdly, my name is Tonbra Nwosuagwu. You've asked me to introduce myself. So my name is Tonbra Nwosuagwu, and at heart I am a teacher. And the teacher expression follows me in everything that I do. Whether I am teaching people how to podcast, I'm teaching people how to claim their personal power and know who they are. I'm teaching people how to move on from things that have held them back, or I'm teaching people how to just build platforms and build legacies. That's the one consistent thread that runs across everything that I do. I love to impact knowledge. I love to be a conduit. I don't feel like I'm the fountain of knowledge itself, but I'm a conduit which God uses to get his message to his sons and daughters. And I love it. I've been on this purpose work for about 3 years. It's a really short time. When I think about it, it seems like, oh my God, you've been doing this forever. But I think it's a testament to the fact that all you need to do is step out. Once you step out, everything else aligns. You would just feel as if, oh my God, you were born like that. But no. So there's a gift and a purpose on the inside of you. So you just need to step out and everything else aligns. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, wow. Wow. Love that. Love that. Love that. Just in that calm voice, just giving it to us. Thank you so much. Let's go to Noble IJ. Would love to meet you.
Oh, wow. I just first of all want to say a big congratulations to you. I honestly understand how it feels like reaching 100 episode. Like it feels like wow. It feels like I can't just believe it. Like from episode 1 to episode 100, like what a milestone. And I want to take this time to say congratulations to you. I really want to, with all my heart, I just want to say congratulations to you and just thanking you for all the lives you've touched. Wow. All the countless lives you've touched and all the many times when you feel like I don't want to do this anymore, but you're still there. And I just really want to say congratulations. And just me introducing myself, it will just be very brief. My name is Noble IJ. I am also a podcaster. I have been podcasting since 2021. And it's really been an amazing journey. But professionally, I will say that I am a social worker and I really love the social work career and it's really been amazing. So yeah, that's just basically a short introduction. And I live in Boston, Massachusetts. Nice to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Before we go to Ifeoma to introduce herself, we're going to give a welcome to Mr. Amachree Isoboye. He's joining us. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited.
I'm honored. I'm excited being here. 100 episodes. Amazing. Just like yesterday. And here we are. Thank you for having me. Well, my name is Amachree Isoboye. Who am I? I describe myself as in decide what I do. I describe myself as the wordsmith. And every day I keep discovering myself. Podcasting for me started thanks to Tonbra Nwosuagwu and the Gemstone family. Started for me like almost 2 years, and it feels like I've been doing it forever. I'm a writer, an author, content creator, and like we like to say, 95, a HR generalist, which I enjoy doing. The field of HR has given me the opportunity to do more. And that's who I am in a nutshell. Maybe as we make progress, we'll get to hear more. Let me let you know I'm excited being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, let's go to Ifeno.
Okay, I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be here. And I'd like to say to every one of you here, you've been an inspiration to me. Why do I say so? Because everyone here started their journey before I did. And I just, when I see people put out your work, it reminds me that I'm not alone. There is a host of witnesses cheering me. I don't need to see you people hyping me, but I just know when I see your work coming out. So I want to say it's a privilege. And wow, 100 episodes. Interestingly, everyone here too, except me, has done 100 episodes. So that's to tell me that I should keep going. I should not compare myself, because I'm comfortable where I am, what I'm doing. And it's an honor to be here. So I say thank you to Olu Olabode. Congratulations. And I am Ifeno for short, Ifeoma Omoniyi. Interestingly, Ifeno came even before I knew I would be using Ifeno. Amachree knows Ifeno was way back in university. Interestingly, my surname was still the O, and I got married to someone whose surname was O. So Ifeno didn't die. So Ifeno is a very unique brand. And I am an excellent home CEO, a podcaster, and the global influencer of women. I am someone that sees homemaking as a noble calling. It's a calling that I believe can solve the problems that we are having in our world today if we take it seriously and intentionally, because we need strong and healthy families to have strong and healthy nations and a healthy world. So that's who Ifeno is for short. Thank you again. Glad to be here.
Wow. So much. This is a room full of, I'm like just adding all the resumes. So, and I want to say once again, thank you so much, everyone. We're trying to work with our time differences. It felt like it was not going to work, but I'm glad we're doing this here. So I'm going to go to Tonbra because she actually started us off on this journey. So I want to ask you a really simple question. What made you start podcasting? Because there might be someone that maybe they've never really heard you talk about this. Because you started all of us up. What made you start podcasting?
It's a really, really funny and interesting story. I didn't have a plan to be a podcaster. Never, never did. I started doing Instagram live shows during the pandemic. So everything, with that beginning time of the pandemic, everything was just dark and gloomy.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, I decided to go live. So I went live and I just started having conversations. I would have conversations about the impact of lockdown on children, medical. I was talking about everything that was topical, what's happening in the world, impact homeschooling. I did even careers, business. I did marriage. I did everything. I was showing up 3 times every week. Literally, I was doing, I think, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Instagram lives. And then my friend Brala there, who everyone knows, it's one of my closest friends. She just kept saying, "Look, this content is like you're just pouring your content like Instagram. Once you do Instagram live, after you do the live, nobody can find it. It's not searchable. So it's like you're pouring water, just pouring water in a basket. Like, she kept saying, pushing me, and I said, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't used to listen to podcasts. I didn't even know what they were." She just kept going on and on and on. And then she started her own podcast. So I started listening to her own podcast, and she just kept encouraging me. So one day I just said, you know what? I'll just do it and I'll try. And it was just so interesting because the journey from then was just remarkable. Because as soon as I started podcasting, the day I released my first episode, that very day, somebody messaged me and said, "Oh my gosh, can you teach me?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll teach you." So I started teaching her. And then I told FD one time in Speak for Gold, as you guys know, we're all Speak for Gold family. I was saying to FD that, I've started my podcast and everything. And then one day FD was in the class just announced, "Oh, there's somebody that started a podcast. She can teach you. You need to be a podcaster." And then the lady was like, "Oh, okay, can you teach me how to be a podcaster?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I said, "Okay, I'll teach you." And then I had like 5 or 10 DMs of people saying, "Please, can you teach me? Please, can you teach me?" So that's how the teacher was born because I didn't even plan for it. And that's how I went. I did about 9 cohorts every month, until I stopped.
Wow. We want to say thank you for starting. Yeah. Because if you didn't start, maybe some of us wouldn't have started. Like I remember starting podcasting. I think I started maybe in 2019. But because I didn't know how to navigate the ropes. I started with Anchor. I didn't know how to do it. So I think I did like one. I think it was even one. And then I'm like, no, this is not going to work for me. And I dropped it until I saw you talk about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should pick it up again. Maybe I should pick it up again. That's how. And today now we're looking. I'm like, wow, 100. So I'm gonna go around and say, let's see how many episodes have we each. Like, what episode are we in now? So even tell us how we've been able to leverage on what we've learned. So let's go around. Amachree, how many episodes have you done of podcasting?
So far, I think I have 128 episodes.
Wow.
Yes, wow. 129. Technically 130 because when you add the what do you call it now, the first episode, which was the what do we call
trailer?
It now? The trailer. So I have done 130 episodes, and it's amazing. The journey is amazing. Each time I see Tonbra's episodes, I will smile and tell myself, okay, we can do this after all. We're the same company after all, and it's been amazing because I remember during the class when Tonbra was teaching, and there was a statement she made. When you're into podcasting, you are the producer, director, you do everything, and somehow being in that space, I have grown when it comes to creating things. You don't push me around this space anymore because I know how it goes, so it's been amazing. 130 episodes and counting because next week I'm going to release another one, and as I'm talking to you, the one for the upper week is already queued on. I need to sit down to begin to curate it and all of that. So it's been an amazing journey, not to overflog it. And podcasting has also affected my family life. Somehow
that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Awesome that you're talking about it.
Yes, my children, my wife already, she's game, she knows. But my children now know Daddy has a recording to do. Daddy has an episode to release. They know the sound of my podcast. The minute they hear it, they know Daddy's releasing another episode and all of that. So somehow it's also like impacting on them. My daughter asked me the other day, "Daddy, how do you meet all those people you interview? How do you meet them?" And I tried to explain to her. She'll be 8 by November. I tried to explain to her. She said, really? So you just ask them and they respond to you? I said, yes. Okay, Daddy, that's great. And she walks away. For me, that speaks volume, and I'm grateful to God about that. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Noble IJ, how many episodes have you done?
Oh, thank you. That's an interesting question. So if I add my thriller, I have 113 episodes, and
Wow.
this has been 113 weeks.
Wow.
I thank you. I have always been, very consistent with my podcast, journey, and it's been nonstop. It's been weekly. And when I launched my podcast in April of 2021, I just didn't think I would be able to cope with it. I didn't think and I am very not consistent in my life, in the sense that, not in a bad way, but I can start, especially my own personal things. If it's more like going to work, if it's more like doing something that I am, that I'm accountable to somebody, then I will be very consistent. I am just going to show up. But if it's basically my own thing, like, podcasting, something like that, I know that I'm not accountable to anybody. It's like, and when I started, I'm like, I don't know if I will continue with this, but I just knew I had a story. I just knew, I needed to let the story out. I have a lot of things in my head, but how do I bring those things out, And then we just give God praise for, Speak for God from the Gemstone, Fela Durotoye, and then I met this amazing podcast coach, Tonbra. And the fact that, honestly, like, she is more like, I'll say, the forerunner, because she hasn't stopped. She's still on this journey. And sometimes if I feel like I want to just, like, I'm just tired today, I'll just remember Tonbra, like, she's still on this. Let me just keep going. Like, let me always look up to her, and just just have her as somebody who is on it, and she started before me. So this is really more like an encouragement for me to keep going with, the podcasts. Yeah, I don't want to just keep going around and around, because we have some questions, but some other follow-up questions you're going to ask me. So I don't want to jump, but I have 114 episodes if I add 113 if I add the trailer, and it's been an amazing journey. I've met soul friends, I've met soul sisters, I've interviewed people that I never would have in my life. Like, I don't think anything would have brought me with them in the same space. I've been able to build this close relationship with them, that if anything is going on in my life, in some different parts of the world or whatever it is, I have people that would stand by me. Like, I don't even have to book hotels if I travel to, like, certain places, like maybe Bahamas, whatever it is, because I have people who will be like, listen, whenever you come to my area, reach out to me, I got you. Those relationships were built, through podcasting.
Wow, this is awesome. Inferno, we're going to come to you. How many episodes have you done, and how easy has it been to be consistent?
Okay, I aired my last episode last week. 43 episodes so far. I do mine bi-weekly, so averagely twice in a month. And even at that, that's why I keep encouraging myself that some people are doing this every week. And I remember my son saying, Mommy, it's not easy, because my children are really involved. My son, my daughter, they want to help me type letters to the guests. They want to make sure that my sound is okay. They've really, really been involved. I'm sure if there is any reason I will not stop, I think it will be because of them, because they've really encouraged me. My son even asked me, Mommy, did you ever imagine you would be hosting a podcast? I said, I never knew. I never imagined, but I knew that I would like to start sharing things about my experience back at home, So for me, it has been a learning curve, in the sense that you never know who is listening to what you think maybe is just something small. You feel what is really special about what you want to say, but I got to know that I have more listeners even outside my territory. As in, I have more listeners in countries that I have never imagined anybody will be listening to Ifeano's podcast. So, if for just that reason, that I will not want to give up unless the one who sent me on this assignment says, okay, but for now, I am enjoying the ride. It might look like I'm taking my time. Like I said, you people are ahead of me, but I'm really enjoying the journey because it has helped me know that just be who you are, be authentic, be real. But one thing I want to say is that it hasn't been easy to be consistent. You can say it again and again. It takes a lot to give value. You are not just throwing anything to your listeners. You're not just photocopying something, because the authenticity in what you do is what will make people connect with you. So I will say it's a lot of work to be consistent. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. I'm really gonna hammer on what you just said about consistency. I remember I had a podcast about a couple of weeks ago, and it was interesting how she saw my behind the scenes. I was talking about being nervous, and she was like, she had never seen me behind the scenes, and she was like, really, is this some of the things that it takes? I'm like, okay, the things I had to do. And she was like, how many times do you have to, really rehearse this, think about what you have to share? And so I was sharing some of the things that happen behind the scenes. And then she really got the understanding that it's not as easy as, you just showing up there and giving value. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So I want us to just kind of go into how has the behind the scenes been for you? Because for me, I remember one day, it took me like 9 times before I recorded that particular episode. Like I record, I'm like, no, delete it, record it again. That day I was tired and I had to send it to the editor the next day. I did it 9 times. So I want us to kind of just talk about the challenges. What are some of the challenges that we face, as podcasters? So whoever wants to go first.
I think it was last year, either last year or the year before. I think it was last year. I was very unwell. At the start of the year, I believe. I think it was the year before now. Extremely unwell. I was in excruciating pain, and that was to me the real test of my commitment and dedication to this thing. And I remember there's still a video or a picture where I was recording, and I had like an ice patch on half of my face, and I was still doing my show notes, my podcast, doing everything, and I was like, wow. And in my mind, I said to myself, like, nothing will happen if this episode doesn't go out. Nothing will happen. Nobody's gonna message me and say, "Oh, but your episode didn't go out." I had a very very good excuse to just go to bed and sleep, whatever. But I think for me, the thing that kept me going in that moment and in other moments, that are really really difficult is, for me, it's a commitment to the people that I serve.
Yeah.
That whether or not I feel like it, I will show up. Whether or not I'm getting 1 million downloads or not, I will show up. Whether or not I'm getting responses or feedback, I will show up. It's a commitment to the people that I serve, and for me, that is it. And that is what has kept me going all this time. Every time I just feel like, oh God, maybe I'm just. All of you that have been saying that when I look at Tonbra, how many times Tonbra has thought, I beg you, this podcasting, let me just leave it. How many times I'll just be like, no, just keep going, keep going. My mentor said something to me one day, which I think is good to share. She said, look, when you do things like this, you're not seeing any immediate, in this world, everybody wants instant gratification.
Yeah.
Do this and you just want to know that I'm blow immediately. I just did this podcast and hey,
it went viral.
Went viral and all these things. It's very, very difficult because that's the world we live in, because everybody wants to do this thing. But she said something. She said she called it fixing to get discovered. Fixing for discovery. And I thought it was really interesting. I was like, I'm not doing this to get discovered necessarily. But she said that is what will happen. That's the consequence, that you're just sowing the seed. One day, that tree that you're sowing, that thing that you're putting in the ground, it will get discovered. It will grow like an Iroko tree that nobody will be able to ignore it. So it stayed with me. That's why I'm sharing it. Fixing it for to get discovered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for
Beautiful.
sharing that.
Beautiful.
Challenges, Amachree. Do you want to share some of yours?
Well, why do I do what I do for podcasting? Just to piggyback on what the podcast we just said. For me, it's about living, not existing. That's why I do. Sometimes it's really challenging, yes. Just like she said, the heavens will not fall if I don't release an episode. But I ask myself, are you living or are you existing? So that is what it is. A colleague in the office once told me, you are living, you're not existing, because he follows my podcast. He's like, you're living. Each time I wake up and I listen to your voice talking there, you challenge me, you're living. So for me, podcasting, or why I'm consistent, is because I'm living. I'm not existing. So when I wake up and I have this challenge or one issue or the other wants to stall me, I have that thought at the back of my mind. You are leaving. So you need to leave today. So sit behind this, and record. Sometimes I reach to guests and they don't show up. They tell me they will come and they don't show up. And
tell us about it.
Yeah, I have to now sit down and say, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I just record something. A thought that has been with me for a while or something. I just record it and see how it goes. So that is what it is for me. Beyond that, also, I look at the impact it's having on my family, my children, because when they come to me and they want to complain about anything, I kind of point them to this. Do you see Daddy do this? Say yes. Have you seen Daddy give up? Daddy faces challenges too, but I need to come up. I need to show up. I need to do this. Even when I'm not feeling so well, I need to do it. And that is what it is for me. I am leaving. That's why I keep coming back. I keep recording. I keep putting my voice out there. It's not about the downloads, because if you look at the downloads, sometimes you get so discouraged. Very, very discouraged. It's not about, you say, okay, I have 20,000 downloads, I have this. No. It's about that consistency. You're putting something, you're planting, you're sowing, you are creating, And one thing about creating anything that is worth it, if it's very quick, it will die immediately. Yes, it will die immediately. But when you keep sowing and it's like you're putting things on the ground, under the earth, you're building foundations and what have you, just like what the podcast we said a while ago, before you know it, in the future, it's just there and everybody's and all that, but you've been doing that work all the while. So that's the encouragement I have, knowing that someday, sometime, somebody will say, that guy lives his life.
Yeah.
He didn't just exist.
Wow. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to ask Noble, do you think there are any benefits to podcasting?
Thank you for that very interesting question. I will say that there are. Podcasting isn't something that gives you immediate gratification. Sometimes it could be very discouraging, but one of the reasons why I'm still here, even though I have a lot of things going on for me, like a lot of private things, a lot of personal things, and all of those commitments everywhere. But one thing that has kept me going is some feedbacks I get from people who will just be like, oh, I listened to your podcast from Malta. Sometimes I just wouldn't even know that there's a country called Malta, or some other kind of Schengen countries that whatever, someone will just kind of write to you and just be like, thank you so much. This episode really touched me. And I'm like, okay, this is the reason why I'm still here. this is the reason why, I'm listening, or someone will just dig in and listen to some domestic violence, episode that I shared about, or someone shared their story of those kind of thing, and this person probably might have been in the same situation, will just tell me, oh, I listened to your episode. The person will dig down, I'm already in my episode 13 of 113, but this person will be like, oh, I listened to episode 25, and then this lady was sharing, and that was exactly my story.
Wow.
So much for constantly showing up. This is my favorite podcast. I really enjoy listening to all of your episodes. Do you get? So those kind of things are things that will keep you. And even if you want to, like Coach Tonbra said, even if you're not feeling fine or you're tired, you want to still show up. You want to just be like, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to remain here. Because of those singular feedbacks. Is it tiring? Yes, it is. Because not just all of these things, but you're going to go back behind the scene. You're going to go back and start doing some editing and start, especially if you edit yourself. And for me, since I started podcasting, I've been doing it myself because I don't think I can trust somebody enough to remove some vital parts that I want them to remove and add whatever. Do you get? So it's like, I don't know if it's OCD or whatever it is, but I feel like I cannot really trust somebody enough to tell them, oh, look at my episode, edit it, and then have the person do a good job. Because for me, there are certain things I might want to remove from it, right? For example, I'll just give you an example. So someone could be on, okay, I had a guest who was like, talked about very nice thing, very, very knowledgeable, she shared her great wealth of wisdom. And then in the process, she's like, I would never forgive my ex. He should rot in jail. So those kind of things, I won't want to talk about it because it actually contradicts. I won't want to add it, including my episode, because it actually contradicts all of the beautiful things she said. And if I happen to contract it to somebody, maybe I might just tell the person, oh, listen to the episode. When you get here, cut it out. There are certain, I don't know how to explain it, but this is really why, as a podcaster, you're your own CEO, you're your own manager, like, especially when you're doing it yourself, you see that it's really demanding, especially the behind the scenes. Especially if you're doing the editing yourself, then, once you're done with the editing, then you can now post it, and when you now schedule it on, Boss Proud, and you can now put it on whatever it is, some sound bites, those sound bites, and then post them on social media, and then share them to friends and families and people on your contact list and all of those things. So it's tough sometimes. It's challenging sometimes. So those are really the certain aspects where you want to be like, maybe I want to sublet this aspect. If I can't give out this shared, if I cannot allow somebody to do this aspect, maybe I should, figure out how to sublet this, because it could take a toll on you. But again, when we look at the other end, the lives we're impacting, the people we're committed to, the people that are listening, the people that would want to look forward to your episode and see that you're no longer showing up because, wow, what happened to this person? We didn't see them anymore. Do you understand? It's just something that want to make you keep going. And that's why I can just brag and beat my shoulder and say, you know what, I've been consistent since I started, 113 weeks nonstop. And I don't know how I did it, but it's just because of these people who would want to come back to your episode, who want to come back to your podcast and see that, oh, nothing more. This person, I don't know. So I just feel like I might not get the reward right now, but I'm still getting the reward some sort of way because of the relationship I've built with all of the 100 and something, guests that have been on my show. And I, as much as possible, try to maintain that relationship and try not to be a stranger with them. And that has been some benefits that I've derived from it. Yes, podcasting can be, we can make money out of it if we know how to, but yeah, that's really what I have to share with benefits of it.
Thank you so much. I know I'm going to actually ask the podcast queen too. I remember one thing that really drilled me to want to podcast when I started that class was you speaking about the social imprint. And I want to just say a little bit about that. And you said something that actually is real. That one of the reasons why I don't really do as many IG lives as I used to, because you find you go on IG, you do the IG live, and then the next 2 weeks nobody can find the IG live. So I just wanted to just kind of share a little, because sometimes people don't really know why we podcast. They're like, what's the difference? Like, what's the you going on IG live and you doing a podcast? So if you can just share a little bit about that.
Currency of podcasting, I think what the reward that is even bigger than anything that you get is really in that social capital, in networking and meeting people. It's a fantastic
Yeah.
collaboration. Yeah. Podcasting, it is fire when it comes to collaboration. Because it's like you don't know somebody, you can walk up. If I didn't have a podcast, there are some people that I have no business speaking with. Like, what's the thing that is going to bring us together? But once you have a podcast, you say, oh, hey, I have this podcast, I would like to have you on. And what I realize is that people love platforms. Hey, people love platforms. Some people are just praying that someone can just invite them somewhere. Please, just someone just invite me somewhere. So immediately you say, I have a platform, I would love to, they take you more seriously. They sit up. They're like, okay, this is somebody that is serious, and that's it. I was having a podcast, my last podcast on Thursday. I was speaking to this person. It was interesting. I won't give too much details, but anyway, I had this interview, and the setting up of the show was very tedious. I found her a little bit more difficult than my other guests. So at some point, I was just like, in fact, we canceled the podcast. Then she now booked again. I gave her the link. If you were interested, book again. She booked again. And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, how is this going to be? It's awkward because it's not been a smooth booking. Got on the session, and guess what? We got on like a house on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we've known each other. She's like, oh, she's coming to London. Oh,
wow.
Fantastic. Oh, let's do an event together in London. Let's do this. And we started making all these plans. This is somebody that I didn't know before, or someone on Instagram that I saw, and I realized that we have so much in common. Now we're interacting and we are doing more as a result of the podcast. So the podcast it's not about money. The currency of podcasts is really in social capital. It's really in social capital. Just being able to, convert these people that you're meeting and using it for, in whichever way you choose.
Wow. Love that.
All
Love
right.
that.
Sorry, let me say this on the back of what the podcast queen just said. Somebody's trying to ask, what's the benefit? One of my guests, I think I met her in one other platform and I invited her. And after everything, she said to me, she's into education. She said to me, do you know how much people are looking for such people like you who do what you do in organizations and what have you? And she started linking me up with people and all that. And imagine somebody meeting you to say, I want to set up a podcast in my organization. Can you consult for me? There's a lot. Can you consult for me? Because she was like, you're good at what you do. I said, thank you. But let's take it one step further. She went into like calling some of her friends, Lagos Business School, places like that, and like networking and all of that. So the social capital you build, I mean, if you want to look at the value, you can't place it anywhere, So a huge benefit. I've had amazing people on my show. Amazing. I've had people who speak in World Economic Forum on my show, sharing the same thing they're sharing on that platform. Just think about it. You have a HR expert who works in NASA, who has written a book, and World Economic Forum is consulting him, and you reach out to him and say, can you come on my show? He said, gladly.
Wow.
So my colleagues in the office who follow me, one of my bosses, I'll call him, yes, he's not my direct boss, but he's a senior. He was like, you're in a league of your own. You're in a world of your own. Because they follow you, they see what you do, they see the quality of guests on your show, and this alone, that capital, you can't trade it for anything. So whoever sees you now come up and you say, I have a guest, even though they don't know that guest, for the fact that they know the kind of guest you bring on your show, they'll want to listen. These are quality, minds and all that. So there's a lot we can mine from this space. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Just so I can add one more. One of the things I tell people is, who's going to be that, once you have what's it called? Once you, if you have the opportunity to interview any guest of your choice in the world, for instance, who would you want to interview? And some people will say Oprah Winfrey, some people will say Michelle Obama, people will just call some very Priscilla Shire, whatever, they just call those names. And then I ask them, okay, where would you have this interview? And they're going to be like, IG Life. I was like, oh, okay, IG Life. Or maybe Facebook Live, or maybe, and then I'll just be like, all right, that's good. But if you do it on that, let's say you did this interview with them, it was interesting, it was beautiful. And then all of a sudden, 1 week later, 3 days later, 1 week later, except you tell anybody and say, oh, go dig into my IG. You're going to find my interview with, Michelle Obama or Oprah Winfrey. It's lost. It's gone. Yeah. You won't find it. It's there. But that's one thing I like about, when you podcast the right way. And that's one of the benefits. Bring in one of those people, interview them, put them in podcast, not let them be on your podcast platform. And once you Google their name, you're just going to find it. It's coming out. Even in the next 5-10 years, whatever it is there. So that's really one of the benefits. It gives you that secured platform. It just really bring you out there, and I just like it, because when I see people who have podcasts, who are coming up now with launching their podcast, I just smile. I was like, oh wow, this is really so good that there are people who are really coming up. And honestly speaking, I tell people that don't start podcasting if you're not going to be consistent. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're not going to follow up with it, if you're not going to be diehard consistent with podcasting, just don't do it. I know it takes a lot, it takes a toll on you, but you would there's a lot of benefits. But if you want immediate gratification, if you just really want to, I want to put this one and get this now, or whatever it is, you won't be able to get that, and it could be very frustrating. So that's just a little I want to add to it.
Wow, that's a lot. Thank you for adding that to it. And that actually leads me to my next question, which I'm going to ask. I'm sure you're like, she hasn't even really asked questions I sent to you, because I'm just piggybacking on what we're saying. I want us to look at, how do we handle podcast fatigue? Like, how do you handle podcast fatigue? How do you deal with that? Tonbra shared when she was sick and all of that. What are some of the tips that we can give people? Like, if you're podcasting and you feel like, oh, this is like, when you're going into that fatigue zone, how can we handle it? So we'll start with Ifeoma. How do you handle podcast fatigue?
Okay, so I know I don't do mine weekly, but one thing that has helped me to be consistent with my bi-weekly airing is I try to do, there are some days when you are really hyped, or there's this time that you can do as many as you can record. There are some days or some weeks when you just see that there are guests willing and ready to, have it and record it with you. I think if we can be proactive, to put up, as I'm speaking with you now, I have podcasts that have already been uploaded for June, July, like that. So there are weeks like that. So I am not under that pressure, that okay. So I like working ahead. That's how I try to make sure I'm not under that pressure. Amachree can testify to me disturbing him at times. Sometimes when a Buzzsprout is funny, or my payment platform for Buzzsprout is not responding because of network or whatever, I just find out that, thank God I had done something ahead of time before that particular episode I'm struggling with. So that's why, just like everyone has said, you need to be consistent. You need to try to walk ahead of your time. So when you try to walk ahead, you will not be under so much pressure. So that's how I've been managing it. So even when I feel I'm still way back, I'm not actually way back. So that's how I manage fatigue. So that when that episode you are struggling with, with editing, maybe your artwork is not ready, all those little details that makes it come out beautiful behind the scene, if you can walk ahead of time, it will help reduce the fatigue and pressure. So that's how I manage mine.
I love it.
I just quickly add to that. Thank you very much for that. If I know, I think definitely working ahead is very, very good. Somehow it's not just worked for me though. I find that I am always well this year at least. There was one time I tried. I had like 4 episodes. This thing, I always struggle with doing a solo ahead, which is weird because it should be the easy one, but because of I really do enter this creator mode when I'm trying to do a solo because I'm trying to think about what my thoughts, I'm distilling it, I'm trying to, give original thoughts on a matter. So it takes me a while to get into that zone. So it's not the ones I find the most challenging at the solo episodes. The guest episodes, I love them and it's really easy and it's a breeze. So most times I have a lot of guest episodes and my cadence is 2 guest episodes, 1 solo episode. Or sometimes I have a lot of guest episodes and I don't have solo episodes, or sometimes maybe I've not lined up enough guests. This year, for the very first time, I took a break. So I'm going to be, I think, 3 years in September. This September, so in a few months, it'll be 3 years.
Wow.
Um, single week I've been showing up. But this year I took a break, but it was a different type of a break, and it was my friend that inspired it. She just said, "You've been released." She was like, "Do you know how much content, how much valuable content that you have? Do you think that every single person is going to go back and start listening to every single episode? Yeah, you have the people, but you have so much now that you should take a month and do reruns. Pick 4 of your best episodes and do them again so that people can be forced to go back to those episodes." And that was the first time I realized that I have all these episodes and there are people that would never go back. You will have the die-hard people that will go back and listen to everything one by one, but there's some people that would never. I said, "Yo, this is a good idea." So in the month of February was the first time I did like a month of reruns, and I just picked 4 of my top episodes I really, really liked, and I did rerun. And I then gave myself permission from that day. I said, "Look, this isn't a competition. It's not. I can't do this from a place of strife, from a place of low energy. If not, I will enter into a place where I am not. I'm discontented within myself. I'm not happy. So if I'm ever stressed, like if it is too much, I will still keep that my commitment to my people though. So that commitment will still be there. But I will offer another solution that doesn't make me feel as if I don't want it to be very obligatory. Like I have to, because at the end of the time it starts to feed our own ego and our self-esteem. And we have to be careful. Do you understand? This isn't about you. This isn't necessarily about you. It's about the people you serve. So always have that foremost in your mind, and then don't let this whole thing become an idol.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Let me quickly piggyback on what she just said. Podcasting is a platform for me that has grown into so many other things. If you're following me on social media, you see somebody will ask, "Are you not a movie director? Do you act in movies?"
Sentiment as well. When I see your stuff, I'm like, Amachree, are you
He's just diversifying.
Exactly. So it's like one day I heard it audibly, slow down, slow down. He was telling me, slow down. You're not in competition with anybody. You are only living your life. So just slow down. So you have to give yourself that permission in creating content. in coming before people. You are not an entertainer. For you to just no, you're not. You're not. You're
not an entertainer.
You're not. You're not an entertainer. You're living. You're inspiring people. So the minute you leave that mode and you get into the entertaining mode, you want to just grandstand and please and all that. So you need to take a deep breath, slow down. I didn't even know that we can rerun, but I think the slowing down now fits into what the podcast we just said. Rerun, go back. They take all of these things, play them again, because the truth is, what we are doing,
a lot of content,
a lot.
You have just given us good.
Yes, what we're doing in this space borders on words, and we know the way words work. Repetition. Somebody, you can't get tired of hearing something good. Like one of my best episodes, I say it any day, anytime, is the one I did with the podcast queen. Each time I play it, my wife would tell me, this lady is on fire. Sometimes I just go back and I listen to, I want to listen to this episode. I hear something fresh from it. I pick it up again, yank it, do one or two sound bites, put it out there. And I realize the minute I do that, people go back and listen.
Yes.
They go back and listen to that particular episode. It's like, did you just record this now? I said, no, something has been there, so I just bring it back. So you need to give yourself that permission. Thank God she mentioned the rerun. So it's like a good idea for us now. You go back to previous episodes, the ones you consider, the bomb. Just go back and play them again. Put them out there again. No wonder I've been seeing on her Instagram handle, I see one or two things like, what is Tonbra doing that? She has done this before. But now you said the reruns, and I understand why you want to. Honestly, when I listen to it, it's like, it makes a lot of sense again. So it gives you that permission to actually breathe, go inside, process your thoughts on other things, So go ahead. Thank you.
Coach Tonbra, I want to say that you are not the only one that struggles with solo episodes. It happens to me. And why I say that is because, like I said, you are not just wanting to just throw anything at your listeners. You want to be real. You want to be authentic. So just like she said, you just find out that maybe, in fact, my son was like, Mommy, when is your solo episode coming? I say, wait. I said, wait. Let my guests be coming. Let them be coming. As they are coming, me, I'm preparing. So it's really, really a lot, especially if you want to remain authentic. We have, like Amachree said, there are a lot of entertainers. There is a lot of noise, and you are a voice. So you should not be tempted to, just come out like that and just make noise. We want that voice that when people hear you, because there is something beyond even what you are saying, as in there's this inner ear that people would use to pick it, and beyond what you say, immediately you come, even if somebody else is answering Amachree Isoboye, but once they have heard a particular Amachree Isoboye, they already know the pattern or the way that you come, and that's the authenticity of your voice. And it takes a lot, especially when you are not just there for yourself. You are directly under the influence of someone that has sent you. So I saw the rerun and I was like, okay. I knew that she was playing them again, but I now got the reason why she was doing what she was doing. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
I'll just say one last thing. I've been really going through like a lot of change, job change, schedule change, too many like craziness that would have allowed me to stop podcasting, and just maybe tell myself I'm giving myself a break. But guess what? I have decided I just started rerunning some of my episodes. And what I do, once I rerun it, I change the topic. So I don't keep. Once I rerun it, I change the topic. I don't know how many times I've rerun Tonbra's episode, like 3 times. And honestly speaking, Tonbra, one of the one I did with you, there's another one I said, stop the senseless excuses. That was Tonbra's episode, and we didn't really, So
I didn't know that. So you can
rerun it. I changed the topic, and once you listen to it, you would actually think, once you see, you think it's a different episode. Maybe if you've listened to it before, you can know that this is what it is. But change the topic, it gives it like it's a different
new lease of life.
Yes. And that's one thing. That's one of the things that I do, where I feel like, sometimes I just feel like time is running out. I need to release this episode. I need to do this. And I'm pressured because I want to do it. And I feel like I cannot be pressured by this thing. I cannot be. I'll just grab one of my episodes and just, pick one of the best ones. I'll just, and within that week, I am relaxed. But then I'm able to think clearly again and be like, yes, okay, now I'm going to start planning for my big episode. What am I going to put there? Because I don't want to because I am committed to releasing episode every week. I must release this episode. I am pressured to release. Maybe I'm not feeling fine that week. Maybe there's a lot going on that week. Psychologically, I am there. I cannot push myself beyond what I am able to do to say, I must do this and come sick or come unprepared, or not giving my listeners the meat that that they are actually waiting for. I will find an episode that I'll just go through all of my list of episodes, and by the time I'm scrolling through, one definitely will resonate to me, and then I'll pick that one, and then I'll just kind of listen to it again. If there are certain areas I need to touch on, I touch on those areas, and then that's it. I am changing the topic of that particular episode. It comes out to be some other different topic, and that's it. I release it that week. That gives me a breather for that week. And if I feel like, I'm not still mentally prepared next week, boom, I am doing another rerun.
Same thing.
I am doing another rerun and another rerun because, hey, if there's no way, especially if you've gotten to one episode 100 and something, there's no way anybody that, except the person is that hard, will go back and start listening one by one and all of those things. You can even go from when you first started and then see what that episode that you talked about look like, and then maybe you see how you can touch on some things, or maybe add some solo to it and build up that solo and just be like, whatever it is, like I don't want podcasters to be burning out because they are committed to releasing weekly episodes. It's not what it takes. It takes away I've gone on vacation. It takes away the sweetness of podcasting. Do you understand? I've gone on vacations for 2 weeks.
It shouldn't be at your just to interrupt. It shouldn't be at your own expense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've gone on vacations for 2 weeks, and maybe I had a lot of crazy school work and all of those things. I'm not able to catch up with, scheduling my episode the way I would like to. I won't bother myself. I'm just going to be like, boom, go down the list, and that's it. And most importantly, please change the topic. Like, if it's that topic, give it a different topic, different title. And then if you want to include in your show note and be like rerun, fine. If you don't want to include it, you can just leave it like that, and that's basically what I want, podcasters to do. Please don't burn out, and I know that this is something that, that it's only God that will bless us in all of these things we're doing, because all of the work we put in, I don't think we can get enough accolades.
Oh wow, this is so rich. Like, oh sorry, when you say something podcast, like I see your face.
I wanted to say we want to hear from you as well.
Oh, I'm blown away from I'm just blown away by the richness of the conversation. Like, I've left the questions and I'm just like, wow, this is so rich. This is so rich. I think for me, like, I'm learning so much. That rerun thing you shared is what I'm still pondering on. Like, wow, this is like gold. From now, I'm going to go back and make it because it will save my life. Like, imagine a whole month. If I just sign up a whole month, just do reruns. Do you know how much rest you get from not That is a lot of rest. I'm just trying to imagine, like, as I'm going through. And I think I'm just enjoying us just sharing that. That's why I'm not sharing as much. But really, I can echo like almost like what everybody has said on here. Some of the I almost would say one of the things that I want to point out, which I still remember from our very first class, which I also go ahead and I share with so many people, is now I almost forget it. Somebody please remind me. Progress over perfection.
Okay.
That is one of the things that has kept me podcasting. Because I find if you decide that you want to just be perfect, sometimes your episode will not go out. Because, like I told you one time I was actually sitting here and I'm dozing, like I'm tired. And I knew I had to record. I was just there doing it. I'll delete. That was the day I did like I did it like 9 times. And I thought, you know what? I think it's okay. And when I put out that episode, even though I was tired, people were actually, it was one of the episodes that people watched the most and were like, wow, thank you for that. And in my mind, I'm saying it was not me. People don't get it. Like, but why am I sharing that? Because if I had thought of perfection that day, I would not even have put out that episode. So I think for me, one of the things that really kept me going is that, because I always remember, it's like your voice kind of rings in my head. Progress over perfection. I've taught it in my coaching sessions, I've taught it in class, and I first heard it, at that our podcast class. It was one that you kept on telling us over and over and over and over again. And then every time I feel like, oh, I can't, I'm like, no, progress comes first. It might not be perfect, but somebody somewhere is not. And I always remember sometimes Fela says that, Saibdi will say, you're thinking I don't have what it takes. Somebody somewhere is saying, I just need what you have. I don't need the perfect you. I simply need the little that you think is not even as good. And so every time I think that, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just show up. Let's do this. We can do this. We can do this. I have 2 more questions and we have to wrap this up. It's like so rich. But one thing is, how has this, this is like a podcast family, fellow podcasters, but we encourage one another, we cheer one another on. How has having fellow podcasters come alongside you to encourage you? How has it helped your podcast journey? So I want us to just kind of share that in like a minute, just kind of tell us. So let's start with podcast. I'm going to start with you. Because even we're fellow podcasters. So
yes, of course. We're all podcasters, and I said it the second that you graduate out of the boot camp. Remember, I always said it. The minute you keep the boot camp, we're colleagues.
Yeah.
Because I've learned so much. I call Noble IJ, please, where do you get guests from? I always, anything I see that I admire from somebody, I reach out and say, please, I'm not ashamed to, because I don't believe I know everything. I'm not the abattoir of all knowledge. Because people do their research. People have gone far. Like, look at Isoboye becoming a music producer and movie director off of
and book coach. It's a lot of stuff.
And everything. So, if I need to know, I'll call Isoboye. I've called Isoboye before. Isoboye, please, how do you get these people? He'll tell me, okay, link. I think for me, that is actually, if I think about it, that's probably even my biggest struggling point. Because if till now, both of them told me, I've still not done it though. I still just do my guess, and I think that's going to be a game changer for me. I'm going to focus on trying to change the type of guest because I'm so used to, I don't know how to, as much as I reach out to people that I don't know, I feel as if there's a kind of person that you need to be, so there's this comfort I get out of, okay, I shall know you somehow, to just go with somebody that I just meet on one platform. I'm like, let them not come and say anything on my podcast too. But I need to break out of that mindset, because the truth is that there is gold that probably God has stored in different people that I don't know anything about, that I just need to break out and enter into their circles. And also, when you do a podcast with somebody you don't know, the benefit of it is not just the fact that they are coming to speak on your podcast. The benefit of it is that they are sharing it with their community, and you are being your light is shining into another world. So I have to really, that for me, that's the biggest thing that I need to change. But I think community is fantastic. I am very The only thing I wish we did more, was maybe more hangouts or more this. But I used to have a lot more time back in the day. But now it's just time is I'm really struggling for time. But I would love for us to, maybe even if it's once a quarter, let's
Yeah.
get together and have like tips and what do they something
Yeah.
like sharing session, learn and share or
Yeah.
whatever.
Learn
Where
and share.
says one thing that they're doing that is working for them. Like, look at what Noble IJ is
What
saying.
Noble IJ just said. Wow.
I didn't know, So I'm like, okay. So I think it's important that in pockets, together we're going to be stronger. So if we get together, just talk about what we're all doing and then listen. And then the other thing I wonder is that I am so inspired by just the level of consistency and the people that have come out of those podcast boot camps and what they're doing. I'm just inspired because I'm just like, wow, I didn't realize how much power was it. And I think it was Amachree that told me once. Somebody said to me that it was like an impartation because it's
Yeah.
easy
Mm,
to teach
Yeah.
people that go on to do 100. Do you understand what I mean? It's almost
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah.
So I think one part of me is like, should I maybe do another podcast boot camp? But I feel like it was for a season and I've
This
moved on.
season.
So yeah, it's interesting. That's
Yeah.
what I find.
Now,
Wow.
for me, uh, there's this group that came to me as in, somehow Buzzsprout provide this platform that other podcasters or entities follow your podcast and they invite you to be like to introduce you to their own guests, their guest list. So I had this opportunity of somebody from Singapore. Graham Brown is his name. He owns a podcast company and
Wow.
he does these promotions for big corporations and what have you. So I had him on my show. His company reached me that they want me to interview him as a guest on my show. Now, Graham is a big name in the podcast industry. Graham Brown. Then also another, what's her name now? Tiffany Bernard. You know, I just got an email. Blah blah blah. We've seen what you're doing. You have a lot of blah blah blah. Would like to have this person on your show. Are you willing to interview? I said, why not? If not, because I've done my own background checks of these people. So it's also that you're sharing, people are seeing, not just within your your location, now beyond your location. So imagine, not just like what she said a while ago, Graham took my podcast with him, my episode, shared it with his own community.
Wow.
And somehow, and you start seeing on your feed, like I'm very strong on LinkedIn anyway. You start seeing followership, strange names in a good sense, start following you and all of that. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It has really helped my podcasting journey. Also reaching out to people. And the fun is, the podcast we said a while ago, about 3 questions ago, people are looking for platforms to just sit down and talk. And you reach out to them, they get so excited. So it has really helped me. I just reach out to you. First of all, I read what your profile and all that, and I think you're a perfect fit for my show. I reach out to you. Would you like to be on my show? And the question they will always ask, or rather, the first thing they will say is, can you send me one of your best episodes? Let
Mm.
me, yes. And I send them. And it's like, yes, why not? If not, I would love to do this and all of that. So I think that experience taught me that what we are doing is being noticed. It's all about time. The big names, as it were, will begin to like come pull you up. Lastly, there's this guy from the US. What's that his name now? Crawley or so. He has a program in the US. He was also introduced to me to be interviewed, which I did. And he said, I'm the first person from Africa he's speaking with on his particular program, and that he's so happy about it, so that now Africa will also hear his voice on this particular subject he's been talking about. I mean, how far can we go if not as far as God is our eyes can see, and God is leading us. Thank you.
Sorry, just to quickly add, and I know that I will be really quick. Another thing as well is that the community, you can cross pollinate. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I can look at all the people Noble IJ has interviewed, and I can
Mm.
start interviewing them because we're
Exactly.
different communities with different podcasts. It's not going to affect her. She can
Mhm.
look at the people I've interviewed and start interviewing them. So the
Mm.
fact that she's broken in, I can listen to the episode and say, "Oh, I like the sound of
Mm.
this person. The person is going to be perfect for my podcast."
Exactly.
Reach out to her and say, Noble IJ, can you do the connection for me? And she
Yeah.
will.
Wow.
So it's another thing. We just have to think and open our minds. Like there are
Mhm.
people everywhere. So the question you ask around community, you can leverage this community so
Mm.
strongly by even you don't even have to look for guests. All this time I'm saying I'm trying to Amachree, let me break in here, help me here. There's no need. I can just look at who you've interviewed and go, I haven't done
That's
it.
it.
Something I can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. 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 I'll say
And just
again. Okay, go ahead.
And that is so true, very much true. Just so that we have different blend of guests, we're able to like check through them. And one very important thing that I always do, and it has really helped me, I do a pre-recording with any guest that's before the actual recording. It takes a toll on me, but I like to do it. I'll do a 15 minutes pre-recording with you, because I want to sit with you and I want to know what you have to offer. And if you cannot convince me in 10 minutes, sorry, I don't think, I won't even follow up with you to know, okay, are we going to do this or not? And that would just be it. I'll just let it slide there. I'll just be like, we're going to do a 10 minutes pre-recording. And then it's demanding for me because I will find a 10 minutes out of my time to do it. I want to do a pre-recording. The reason for the pre-recording is there are some people, when you start the actual recording with them, you just know that, man, this is not a good fit.
Yeah.
You know how to stop them. Because but with the pre-recording, I'll just tell you a little bit about my podcast. I'll tell you a little bit about me and ask you, what do you have to offer to my guest? The floor is open to, for you to really share. And then you can just share and, tell me things, and I'll be writing them down and I'll ask you a question. And then maybe if I see that this person has an exciting and interesting story, I will send you an email and tell you, I'll send you an email with a pack, asking you all of the things that you're going to provide. And then we would now schedule an actual recording.
Wow.
That is interesting. Really?
And that's one too. If after the actual recording, we'll just schedule actual recording, that will just be. Then secondly, what I usually do is, and if nobody's doing it, I won't just encourage you to do it, please. If you're recording especially you, Olabode, Olu, please, after your 100, this is what you're going to do. Do like at least a 10, maybe like a 30, like 25-second to like 35-second thriller in your episode. So someone just talks about, oh, I feel like killing myself at that point, I almost hung myself, and that particular 10-second, put it at the beginning of your episode. So if somebody wants to listen to your episode, they will not come and say, oh, hello, my name is Noble IJ. No, just let them first thing they're going to hear in your episode is, oh, I feel like hanging myself, I almost
So
died.
that they're hooked.
They're hooked. They want to be like, wow, this is interesting. Touch this, and then they're hooked to it. And then all of a sudden, they just listen to that, I feel like hanging myself, and then they now listen to your intro, and then they now get into your episode. You're hooking them in because they want to really see, you've already captivated them, and that's why they won't stop. They will continue going. Do you get, regardless of what the topic, the topic you want to talk about, and again, our titles are like the captivating topic of, episode topic is very important. Find as much as possible, find a way to make sure that this thing is captivating, is interesting. Sometimes we talk about some things that are very, very like, oh my goodness, this is really an amazing topic, but we did not caption it well. Maybe we just call it purpose and discovery, something. It's not going to captivate anybody. So within the first at least 10 seconds, make sure that it's something that is, captivating, because people are listening, right? Make sure it's something that is captivating. And then, like, I don't know, one time I brought in okay, I think it was the summit when Coach Eden shared her story. That part, that rigor aspect of her story where she said, cancer survivor, whatever, that was the part I put at the very first beginning. So that once you click to listen to any of my episodes,
you
want to just listen, you're hooked. And then that was just it. From there, you want to now know what happened to her, what is the story, what is the whatever it is, and those kind of things. And that's one. Two, one of the things that people do, just like Tonbra, when she's doing her or any of her coaching programs, we're all podcasters, right? You can just reach out to us and just tell us, you know what, I want to sponsor. I don't know where the background noise is coming from. You can just reach out to us and just be like, you want us to bring you, advertise your program for us. And now anybody that comes from Amachree's podcast, and tells you that, oh, I heard this from, World Cafe podcast, and then the person registers, maybe you're going to give the person 20%. You're going to give the person 20% of the money that the person, of the whatever fee. And then everybody puts in your program that you've put in your voice, right? When people just put it in one strategic place. And then when you want to put it in that strategic place, it could just be more like an intriguing part. When the person will just be like, honestly, I didn't know what to do. I just felt lost. In that place, I just felt lost. Now, your listeners want to understand and be like, okay, what happened? And then you just be like,
feel lost.
I'll be right back. Hold on a minute, I'll be right back. And then Tonbra will just come and just be like, hello, everyone. I just want to invite you to my blah, blah, blah. And then you now continue with the story so that anybody that comes from my podcast, the Beautifully Broken Me podcast, and tells Tonbra, you know what, I heard, about this event from the Beautifully Broken Me podcast, it will just be an agreement. It will just be something. And that's really how you see, like, people have a lot of sponsors. People just have a lot of small, things coming for them, or payment or whatever it is, just because they're advertising, some of their sponsors program. And those are just some tips I feel like sharing. Wow.
We have to do this learn and share, Tonbra. We got to do it because the well that is coming from here is like, there's more. Wow. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. This is like, it's so rich. The last question I'm going to ask us is, if you were to tell somebody just starting their podcast in 1 minute, if you were to give them an advice in 1 minute, somebody just starting episode 1, what would you say? And then as you end your 1 minute, just tell us how we can find you, the name of your podcast. I'll put all those in the show notes anyway, but just tell us. So in 1 minute, what would you tell them they're starting their very first episode? One tip.
Okay, if I want to go, I would tell you, please, I don't want to teach you podcasting if you will not be consistent. Then I might as well deny you, or I might as well refuse to accept that I taught you. Do you get? And then one of the most important things is knowing your why. Why are you doing this? Like, what is the reason? Are you trying to compete with somebody, or you're just there because you want to impact life? So knowing why you're in that journey would actually keep you no matter what's going on. Knowing that, you know what, I want to have a platform, I'm very consistent, I'm very serious about this. And no, that's the most important. The secondly, you want to be consistent in it. Come rain, come shine, you just want to be there because you're just knowing that, you know what, I'm touching lives. These lives are important. It's just like, people from different walks of life, people going through different challenges, people going through whatever, different forms of adversaries, you're giving them hope. Let's say you're only that hope. You're the only hope that they're going to be listening to. How are you going to approach this thing? So that's going to be my advice. And I'm just going to tell them it's not a bed of roses. There are a lot of things that happen behind the scene. But again, just keep pushing it. There might be a lot of discouragement. Honestly, I wanted to quit podcasting a long time ago, and not really a long time ago, but in my mind, I have quit podcasting, but I'm still here because of those amazing feedbacks that I get, from people from some other parts of the country. Those are the things that keeps me going. And I'm just going to tell the person, it might not be easy at some point, but just, keep pushing yourself through it, knowing that, you know what, I might not get this monetary benefit, or, I might not recover the money I'm spending on all of these subscriptions, but I just know that some way, somehow, I am going to build relationships with an amazing community, amazing people. I am touching lives, I'm impacting lives. So kind of like looking at the end goals. Those are the things that will keep you going, and those are the things that will sustain you in this journey of podcasting.
Wow. And the name of your podcast and how we can find you.
All right, so the name of my podcast is the Beautifully Broken Me podcast, and I just abbreviated the name to the BBM podcast. So that's really kind of like, instead of having like the Beautifully Broken Me, it's quite long, but I just have like the BBM podcast. So where you can find me on social media at the Beautifully Broken Me on Facebook. You can find me Noble IJ on Facebook, Noble IJ on LinkedIn, the Beautifully Broken Me on Instagram, and Noble IJ on Instagram.
Awesome. Wow, thank you. Let's go to Amax. You're mute.
Okay. All right. Just to add to what I just said, you must know your why. A lot of us are attracted to the sexy things on social media, those things that shout at us, the blink and all of that. But you have to know your why, because your why will drive the consistency. Then your audience. Somebody say, who's your audience? Well, for me, like I always tell people who care to listen, I play for the audience of one, the one, numero uno. If he's happy with what I'm doing, no problem, I'm happy. So you just have to know that it's easier said than done. But when you know your why, it becomes possible. It thrives. Just like I said earlier, you are living, you're not existing. It's like each time you sit behind the microphone and you're speaking. I recorded an episode yesterday, a solo episode actually. When podcast being said about having difficulty recording solo, I really don't have. For me, honestly, I don't. Sincerely speaking, I don't. It's like I am doing me. I'm doing me. So I'm just flowing. So I said something that got to me. I said, these walls have seen a lot of people, have heard so many voices. And each time I come into this space, I call it my safe space. There's something sweet about podcasting for me. That's why. So it forms my world. So the minute I come into that space, I come alive. My thoughts, the way I process my thoughts, the way I speak, the way I channel. My daughter always, she picks on me on that. It's like, Daddy, you speak differently when you are recording your podcast. Like, you sound differently. When you come out, it's like, I said, yes, I know. Because when I enter that space,
it's
there's
for a
something.
global audience.
Yes. It's just like that. So you must know your why. And it drives you. You must not. Don't get the feeling that you won't get tired. You will. You will get tired. But when you know your why, it fuels you. And you keep going on and you get inspired. My podcast is titled The Word Cafe Podcast with Amax. Where can you find me? Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all at Amachree Isoboye. Just that's it.
Wow. Thank you very much. Let's go to Ifeoma.
Okay, if there is one thing which almost everybody has said, as I would tell someone that is thinking of starting a podcast today, is why are you doing what you are doing? Motive is so key. And why do I say this? When I started my podcast, my focus was if I were to follow my focus, which is about the home, I felt, will anybody listen to me? What am I going to be saying? By the time you get to what episode, will you think or will you know what topic to talk about? I even remember my brother Amachree saying, Ifeno, this is your home. This one you are saying at home with Ifeno, But the interesting thing is that the way I get my topics, I don't know, as in, I never knew I could be thinking the way I was thinking. I remember even in class when Tonbra told us, there was something we filled, write your first how many topics and things like that. And there's even one topic I wrote. I've not done that particular topic. When she saw it, she was like, wow. And one thing I know, and I will say to anybody is, until you start, you never know what you can do.
Yeah.
Until you take that bold step and start, you never know what is in you. Because I'm in the kitchen, I'm getting topics. You see me getting my notepad, writing. In fact, my children know writing materials are everywhere in the house, in the car, in the kitchen, everywhere. Once they see my paper, they know that mommy is getting, inspired. I am watching a movie, and as I'm watching the movie, I have seen a lot of topics that have to do with family, home. So I just found out that, and I didn't have this inspiration until I started the podcast. So that's why I would say, until you start, you never know what is in you. There's a lot in you. We want you to unleash the gold. Olu Olabode knows what I'm talking about. There is a gold mine in you that is
Actually, we should
waiting
talk
to
about that.
explode.
We should talk about that. As you're saying that. It's interesting. I did this interesting episode on her podcast. It's called Unleash the Gold Mine in You. And since I did that episode, I could not get over what I shared. And she couldn't get over it. And we had this thought that we're going to write. We're going to actually put together a book. We're like co-authors of a book called Unleash. Yeah,
Unleash the Gold in You.
We're so excited. We're working on that book project right now. It's like on podcasting. We even forgot about that. I know.
Amazing.
So there is a lot. Please, until you start, you never know. And for the rewards, like many of my colleagues have said, you get tired, you get weary, because you are human. And that's why it's good to have this kind of family, because you get rejigged, you get energized, don't give up. And for me, one thing that has kept me going, and I will say that many times where you sow your seeds are not necessarily where you would necessarily reap from. So you are sowing, you are bringing out content, you are expecting people to say, oh wow, that episode was this. Sometimes you won't get it. You won't get those expected responses. But one thing that I think propelled me into doing this podcast is it's a legacy. You are already living your legacy today. What you are doing today is your legacy. You are preserving posterity. I remember one of my friends telling me that, Ifeoma, imagine a young girl, maybe in 20 years' time, stumbles on your podcast, and she's confused about who it or what it means to be a woman, or what it means to run a home. Just imagine. And she was not alive when you started your podcast, but because that is why what many of us said about podcasting is different from maybe Facebook or whatever, because generations unborn after us are going to hear you after you have left here. People that you never imagined will hear you. So start. If you don't start, you never know what is there. And remember, the benefit is that you are preserving those coming behind, those that you might never see, those that might never come in contact with you physically. When they get to your podcast, they will thank God that you started your podcast. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
And my podcast is At Home with Ifeno. You can reach me on at Ifeno17 on Instagram, on Facebook, Ifeoma Omoniyi, and Spotify, Apple, Google platforms air our podcast. Thank you.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. Honestly, I just have to say, when you joined the podcast bootcamp and you told me, if I know, about what you were going to be talking about, I was so inspired by it. And for till tomorrow, it remains one of the stories of the podcast bootcamp that stays with me. Because I say that, look, you can create the world that you want. I think it's so.
Mm.
You can find relevance if you
Yeah.
choose. Because some people think, oh, but I'm just a housewife. No, it is an office. You can
Mm-hmm.
create whatever you want. And I love the fact that you occupy it so beautifully. God bless you. So, to say to this person, I would say that podcasting is a school of mastery. It's a school of mastery. And whilst you guys were speaking, if you notice, I was writing, I
Yeah.
wrote down a list of things that I have learned, we have all learned, and you don't even know. It's building mastery. I read you start to do a podcast, you learn public speaking. You learn how to enunciate your words and articulate your words. You learn how to engage with people, how to network with people, how to collaborate. You learn how to show up. Yeah? You learn how to be disciplined even when you don't feel like it. You learn how to be confident even when you're shy and you're reserved. You learn administrative skills. Someone needs to book. You need to send out the links. You need to do all of that. You learn organizing. Okay, I want to have this on this day, but I need to move this around. You know how difficult it was for you to find the time that was. That's organizing. You learn mindset, how to stay with it even when you don't feel like it. You learn resilience,
Wow.
how to show up even when you have a setback. You talked about, how you've recorded 10 episodes. That's resilience. Your resilience was being built. You learn content creation. Look at, if you're not talking about, when I'm watching TV, I'm just thinking about these podcast titles. You're creating, you become a content creator. You learn interviewing skills. One of the greatest things that podcasting has done for me is interviewing. When I come and I enter you in an interview, no matter who you are, you must cave. So you learn how to be an interview. You learn how to be relevant in our time.
Wow.
Something that is happening across the world and you handle it. And you say, this is my perspective on it. I have a view and this is what I have to say about it. You learn creativity. You are constantly thinking, is this the right topic? Is this? Should the artwork look like this? Should this a part of the audiogram that is best? Should I put this at the trailer? That's creativity. Legacy building. You are creating your digital footprint. So it's a digital currency. So it's just to say that when you're doing podcasting, it is a school of mastery.
Wow.
And to get the total benefit of it, you have to keep at it so that everything is being built. I wasn't speaking like this. You go and listen to my episode 1, episode 2 of my podcast. You will not hear this, Tonbra. I was shaking. I used to have a script that I used to read every line. I used to read from the script. Literally, I used to write my entire podcast, my solos in particular. But now I can free flow because I've mastered these skills. So it's like an investment that you keep putting in the ground, you keep learning, and one day it builds a return for you. The final thing I would like to end with is this year, for the very first time, I took on a podcast sponsor. I think it must have been in February, towards the end of when I did my sponsorship, my reruns, February, March. And guess what? She paid me what I didn't even consider was anything, but I was just excited, like, oh my gosh, somebody believes in my podcast.
Yeah.
It was a hair care brand. And she said, look, I want a sponsor, I will pay you, blah, blah, blah. And she paid me. What shocked me, she gave me a particular link. And on that link, she said, on the ad I did, I said, if you want to buy, blah, 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 put this discount code CFM, created for more 10. So we know who is buying from that link. And my podcast obviously is global, but I think the people, she has distributors just in the UK, specific places. So the point I'm trying to make is that there were other people that would have bought, wouldn't have used that link, but maybe they heard about it and would have bought. But we're only calculating the people that bought with that link. Guess what? She messaged me 2 or 3 days ago. This podcast that we've done since when? She said that it was times 10 of the amount she paid.
Wow.
That she got back in money.
Wow.
Times 10. So I didn't even realize that we are builders of influence. We are wielding will. That's what we do on the podcast.
Wow.
We are using our influence is so powerful that we don't even know what we're doing. So it's an investment. Just keep putting it, keep building your community, keep building your tribe, and one day you will just cash in like that. Immediately, I went to go and do a sponsorship deck, change my prices because I'm like, what? Times
If
10.
I can bring it times 10 for somebody.
Times 10. If it was times 20, yeah, times 10. It was
Wow.
ridiculous. Anyways, that's me. My name is Tonbra. My podcast is called Created for More the Podcast, and it's on all podcasting platforms. I'm Tonbra.Nwosuagwu on Instagram, and you find Created for More Podcast as well on Instagram. And yeah, that's me.
Wow. That's all I can say. And to say one thing before, as we end this all, is you are so right by like those 10, I would almost say 10 things that you shared about podcasting. My husband, we're talking about him, and he does daily devotionals, and we're talking about him starting to do the audio devotionals of those daily devotionals. And so I remember I said to him, oh, I would do it and just send it to you. I just do something and send it to you. And I sent it to him. He was like, wow. And it was actually yesterday that I realized the power of what podcasting does to you, the skills that you learn that you don't even know. So because I have been podcasting now for close to 2 years, I got right there. It's an audio podcast, but I'm there smiling as I'm talking because I know the effect of, the smile has to come out in the speaking. And it was like, he was just there thinking he was a professional. So sometimes we don't even know the skills that we're going to need for somewhere else we're going, that we're building as we're podcasting. As you were sharing that list of skills, it just reminded me, I was like, wow, we're building so many skills that we might use in our daily, our 9-to-5 job, our businesses, our brands, in everywhere. So podcasting is like a win-win on across all boards. Is a win-win. And I'm really going to end it there. So people that might not know me, my name is Olu Olabode. And okay, yes, we'll get you to share, but I can see your book.
No, I'm not sharing. I'm just to say that my entire book was on my podcast.
Wow.
Literally, were transcribed.
Yes. No way.
Yes, my book is about 6 things: purpose, courage, and I literally recorded on the podcast, got the person, transcribe it, and then literally that was my book done.
Wow.
It's a bestseller.
Yes, and I'm actually coming to her because I have a series coming up after this, The Unstoppable Woman. So you're one on the list. What? I didn't want to. It's good that you shared that, so at least I can just let you know ahead. Wow. So this is like, I don't even know. I have to just close that because I want to say thank you so much to every one of you. Thank you for, I reached out to you. You guys came in, but the wealth we have shared today, I know it's longer than normal. It's a longer than normal episode. But I believe somebody even wanted to start a podcast journey, this would really, really, really help them in like the tips and tools. And we're definitely going to follow up on this. So if you're saying, you know what, I don't know how to start this podcast journey, I want to still reach out to Tonbra because she started us all off. And she's not currently doing a boot camp. She didn't put me up to this. But guess what? She has some tips and tools that she might just share with you. Because every time I still look at all of us, if you had not stirred us up to do this, we might have stopped doing it. So I'm going to throw that out to the audience. You can still reach out to her to give you some tips and tools, or just follow. And I want to encourage you to please follow all of us on our various platforms, our various podcasts. I'm going to put all of it in the show notes. But my biggest thing to this morning is thank you, everyone. Thank you for podcasting. Thank you for showing up in your spheres of influence. Thank you for serving the world. Thank you for continuing to be relevant. And I think it was nobody that said that it's only God that really can reward us for what we do. But thank you. Thank you. And this is a wrap, episode 100. So excited.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I can only get better from here.
Only better.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, audience. Please go share this. Don't listen to this alone. Share it with somebody that will share with somebody that needs to know about podcasting. Just share it with them. It's going to be phenomenal. Thanks, everyone, to have you here.